Starbucks announcing a $1 billion restructuring plan this morning in an SEC filing, adding that it will lay off some 900 non-retail employees and, as you said, close stores.
Why America is turning away from coffee. The rise and fall of Starbucks. Coffee consumption in America hasn't dropped. So if people are still drinking coffee, where did they go? Empty Starbucks stores, closed locations, lines that used to wrap around buildings, gone. Sales down 7%, stock plummeting. And Starbucks seems desperate to avoid the real question, because the answer isn't about coffee at all. It's about the single mistake they can never undo. Here's the part nobody tells you about Starbucks. 12. The $8 coffee finally broke people. Let's start with the obvious. Coffee at Starbucks costs more than lunch. A venti iced caramel macchiato with oat milk and an extra shot, $8.75. Add a breakfast sandwich, you're pushing $14 for breakfast. Do this 3 times a week and you've spent $1,800 per year on coffee. For years, Americans accepted this. Coffee culture became status culture. Carrying a Starbucks cup was a signal. But somewhere between 2022 and 2024, something snapped. Inflation hit everything simultaneously. Groceries doubled. Gas spiked, rent increased. Suddenly, that $8 coffee wasn't a small indulgence. It was a budget line item people couldn't ignore. And Americans started doing math. $8 coffee versus making it at home for 50 cents. That's $7.50 saved per cup. 3 cups per week is $1,170 saved per year. People started buying espresso machines, buying quality beans, making lattes at home. The social media shift happened fast. Posts celebrating expensive coffee drinks got replaced with posts mocking them. I used to spend $40 a week at Starbucks, became a humble brag about financial wisdom rather than lifestyle flexing. TikTok filled with videos showing how to make Starbucks drinks at home for a fraction of the cost. Those videos got millions of views. Comment sections were people celebrating their savings. Starbucks tried to justify prices, better ingredients, fair trade, barista wages, but customers weren't buying it anymore. They knew the actual cost of coffee and milk. They knew the markup was obscene. The pandemic proved people could live without daily Starbucks. And once they saw their bank accounts without the coffee drain, they couldn't unsee it. And once people started questioning the price, they started noticing everything else. The first crack? It came from the thing Starbucks claimed was their greatest innovation. 11. The app turned customers into commodities. Starbucks pioneered the mobile ordering revolution. Download the app, order ahead, skip the line. Brilliant, right? Except it destroyed the entire Starbucks experience. Remember when Starbucks was the third place? Not home, not work, but Starbucks. A place to sit, relax, connect. The app killed that. Now Starbucks is a pickup counter, a conveyor belt, an assembly line. Walk into any Starbucks during morning rush. Mobile orders have overwhelmed the system. Baristas make drink after drink for people who aren't even there yet. The counter is covered in completed orders waiting for pickup. Meanwhile, customers in line wait 15 minutes to order, then wait another 10 minutes for their drink. The app users skip the line but still wait because the system is backed up. Nobody's happy. App users are annoyed. Their skip the line feature means standing around waiting. In-person customers are frustrated. They're second-class citizens. Baristas are stressed making 50 drinks simultaneously. And the store? Empty. No one sits anymore. Everyone grabs and goes. The third place became a warehouse. But here's where it gets dystopian. The app is designed to extract maximum spending. It tracks everything you buy. It suggests increasingly expensive modifications. It gamifies spending with stars and rewards. The rewards program requires you to load money onto the Starbucks app. Money that sits there uncommitted, waiting to be spent. Starbucks holds billions in gift card and app balance, essentially an interest-free loan from customers. And if you don't use the app, good luck. The stores prioritize app orders. You're waiting longer, getting worse service, being punished for not participating in the data extraction machine. Customers realized they were being harvested, their data, their habits, their money, all optimized to increase Starbucks profits while degrading their experience. People started deleting the app. And once the app was gone, the friction of going to Starbucks returned. Suddenly, it wasn't convenient. It was a hassle. The app was supposed to increase loyalty. Instead, it revealed how transactional the relationship had become, and customers chose to transact elsewhere. But the technology disaster was just the first symptom. The disease was happening behind the counter. 10. The barista talent drain. Starbucks used to hire coffee enthusiasts, people who cared about drinks, who learned customer names, who made the experience personal. Those people are gone, and what replaced them tells you everything about why Starbucks is failing. Barista turnover at Starbucks is estimated at 65 to 75% annually in many markets. That means the person making your drink probably started last month. They don't know the menu. They don't know the regulars. They're just surviving until they find something better. Why? Because Starbucks pays barely above minimum wage in most markets while demanding complex drink preparation under extreme time pressure. The job has become impossible. A skilled barista who actually cares about coffee can make $18 to $25 per hour at a specialty coffee shop where they craft drinks with care. Starbucks pays $13 to $16 per hour to operate like a factory worker making 40 drinks per hour. The good baristas left. The ones who stayed are either new or trapped, and customers can tell. The drinks are inconsistent. Your usual order tastes different every time because different people make it following different standards. The experience is impersonal. The baristas are stressed and unhappy. Compare this to local coffee shops where the owner or a long-term employee knows your name and your order, where they ask about your day, where coffee is a relationship, not a transaction. Starbucks optimized for efficiency. They lost the soul. And once the soul was gone, there was no reason to pay premium prices. You can get efficient, impersonal coffee anywhere for cheaper. You can get personal quality coffee at local shops for the same price. Starbucks ended up in no man's land. Too expensive to be convenient, too impersonal to be special. The talent drain wasn't just about employees, it was about the experience dying from the inside out. And while the people were failing, the product itself was undergoing a transformation that would alienate everyone who still cared. The barista crisis is just the symptom. What's coming in the top 9 is the disease, and it explains why Starbucks can't recover. Hit subscribe. 9. The menu became unrecognizable. Starbucks used to sell coffee. Now they sell milk and sugar with coffee flavoring. The menu exploded from simple offerings, coffee, espresso, cappuccino, to 170,000 plus possible drink combinations. Seriously, that's not an exaggeration. With all the modifications, sizes, and add-ons, Starbucks officially offers over 170,000 drink variations. This sounds like customization heaven. It's actually chaos. Baristas can't master the drinks because there are too many. Customers can't decide because they're overwhelmed. Orders take forever because people stand at the register trying to decode the menu board. And most of the drinks aren't coffee, they're desserts. Frappuccinos are milkshakes. The seasonal drinks are candy. The cold brews are sugar bombs. A venti caramel ribbon. Crunch Frappuccino has 470 calories and 62 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than 2 Snickers bars. You're not drinking coffee, you're drinking a blended candy bar. The coffee purists left years ago. They went to specialty shops that actually care about beans, roasting, and brewing. Starbucks gave up on that demographic. But here's the problem. The people who wanted dessert drinks are also leaving. Because if you want something sweet and cold, Starbucks costs $7. A milkshake from McDonald's or a smoothie from Jamba Juice costs $4 to $5 and tastes better. Starbucks is losing both ends of the market. Coffee drinkers found better coffee. Dessert drinkers found cheaper desserts. The menu tried to please everyone and ended up pleasing no one. And the complexity made operations impossible, quality inconsistent, and prices absurd. When a coffee shop can barely make a decent cup of coffee because they're too busy blending 15 different frappuccinos, something has gone fundamentally wrong. But the menu chaos was covering up something darker, something Starbucks hoped customers would never taste clearly enough to understand. 8. The roast got worse on purpose. Here's a dirty secret about Starbucks coffee. It's intentionally over-roasted to hide low-quality beans. Coffee experts call Starbucks roast charcoal or burnt. It's dark beyond what brings out flavor. The beans are roasted until they're almost black. killing all nuance and complexity. Why? Because over-roasting masks defects. If you start with mediocre beans, which Starbucks must, given their scale and price point, over-roasting makes them all taste uniformly bitter and burnt. High-quality beans are roasted to bring out their unique characteristics. Ethiopian beans taste different from Colombian beans. Light roasts are complex. Medium roasts are balanced. Starbucks roasts everything into oblivion. It all tastes the same. Bitter, burnt, one-dimensional. This worked when Americans didn't know better, but the specialty coffee movement taught people what good coffee actually tastes like. Third-wave coffee shops popped up everywhere, serving light and medium roasts that tasted like fruit, chocolate, nuts, florals. People tried real coffee and couldn't go back to burnt Starbucks. It was like tasting fresh tomatoes after eating only ketchup your entire life. And Starbucks couldn't change. Their roasting profile is part of their brand. If they started serving lighter roasts, old customers would complain it doesn't taste like Starbucks. They trapped themselves. The burnt taste that made them successful became the anchor preventing adaptation. So coffee lovers fled to better roasters, and Starbucks was left serving burnt coffee to customers who didn't care about quality, the dessert drink crowd. But even that crowd is disappearing. Because while Starbucks was busy alienating coffee purists, an army of competitors had been quietly surrounding them, and they were about to attack from every direction at once. 7. The fast food giants struck back. McDonald's, Dunkin', Dutch Bros, and regional chains declared war on Starbucks, and they're winning. McDonald's McCafe tastes as good as Starbucks coffee to most people, and it costs $2 to $3 instead of $6 to $8. For the average consumer who just wants caffeine and doesn't care about ambiance, McDonald's is perfect. Dunkin' always competed with Starbucks, but they leaned into being faster and cheaper. Their app actually works. Their stores are efficient. You're in and out in 3 minutes. Dutch Bros exploded by being enthusiastic and friendly, where Starbucks is corporate and sterile. The baristas are genuinely happy. They chat. They remember names. It feels like Starbucks used to feel. And regional chains, Pete's, Caribou, local operations, picked up customers who wanted better than Starbucks but didn't want the pretension of third-wave shops. Starbucks got squeezed from all sides. Fast food offered cheaper and faster. Specialty shops offered better quality. Regional chains offered familiarity without corporate stiffness. Starbucks was left in the middle, too expensive to be convenient and too corporate to be special. Their market share eroded slowly at first, then rapidly. Every percentage point lost represented thousands of customers who decided literally anything was better. And those customers aren't coming back. Once you realize McDonald's coffee is fine and costs a third of Starbucks, why would you return? Starbucks lost the price war, the quality war, and the experience war simultaneously. That's not a competitive setback. That's an existential crisis. But here's where it gets weird. Because while Starbucks was fighting off competitors, the entire ground beneath them was shifting. 6. Americans are actually drinking less coffee. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Coffee consumption in America is declining, especially among young people. Gen Z drinks significantly less coffee than millennials, who drink less than Gen X, who drink less than boomers. Each generation is less addicted to caffeine from coffee. Why? Energy drinks, matcha, tea, pre-workout supplements, caffeine pills, soda. There are 1,000 ways to get caffeine now. Coffee isn't the only option anymore. Celsius, Red Bull, Monster, and dozens of smaller brands are eating coffee's market share. Young people are choosing cold, carbonated, flavored caffeine over hot coffee. And it makes sense. Energy drinks are faster. No preparation, no brewing. Just grab and go. They taste like candy. They're marketed aggressively to young demographics. Coffee requires ritual. Even at Starbucks, there's a process. Energy drinks eliminate the process. Pure caffeine delivery with zero friction. Matcha and specialty teas captured the health-conscious crowd. Coffee has baggage. Caffeine crashes, acidity, jitters. Matcha is marketed as smooth energy with antioxidants. It's coffee without the downsides, at least in perception. Starbucks tried to adapt. They added energy ready-to-drink-style refreshers. They emphasize their tea selection, but they're not winning those customers. If you want an energy drink, you buy an energy drink. You don't go to Starbucks for a mediocre imitation. The coffee market is shrinking while Starbucks doubled down on being a coffee company. That's strategic suicide. They needed to pivot years ago to being a broader beverage company, but they're stuck with the coffee brand identity. While fewer people care about coffee, cultural tastes shifted. Starbucks didn't, and now they're watching customers leave for entirely different product categories. America is drinking less coffee, but the people still drinking coffee, they're making very different choices. 5. The work-from-home revolution killed the commute coffee run. COVID-19 changed working patterns forever, and those changes destroyed Starbucks' business model. Starbucks existed on commuters, people stopping for coffee on the way to work. Morning rush from 7 to 9 a.m. was their profit center. Office workers grabbing afternoon coffee. Work from home eliminated that. Even as offices reopened, hybrid work became standard. People work from home 2 to 3 days per week. That's 2 to 3 days they're not stopping at Starbucks. And when you're home, you make coffee at home. You bought an espresso machine during COVID. You learned to use it. You're not going back. The commute coffee run was habitual. You did it without thinking. Working from home broke the habit, and once a habit is broken, it's hard to rebuild. Starbucks tried to adapt. They emphasized mobile ordering for people to grab during errands. But errand coffee isn't the same as commute coffee. It's discretionary. People skip it. The death of the daily commute coffee run removed billions in annual revenue from Starbucks. And it's not coming back because work patterns have permanently changed. Downtown Starbucks locations are ghost towns. The stores that used to have lines out the door are empty at what used to be peak hours. Suburban locations are doing better, but not enough to make up the difference. Starbucks built their empire on office workers. The office worker lifestyle changed. Starbucks didn't adapt fast enough. Remote work gave people time to make coffee at home, money to invest in home setups, and freedom from the commute habit. That trifecta killed Starbucks' business model. We're in the top 4 now, and number 1 is the single mistake that made everything else inevitable. The moment Starbucks forgot what they were actually selling. 4. The union battle destroyed their progressive image. Starbucks spent decades building a progressive brand image, LGBTQ+, friendly, environmentally conscious, socially responsible, the company you could feel good about supporting. Then their employees tried to unionize, and Starbucks revealed who they really are. Starting in 2021, Starbucks workers began organizing unions across the country. Hundreds of stores filed for union elections, and Starbucks fought back with ruthless union-busting tactics. They fired union organizers. They closed stores that voted to unionize. They stalled negotiations. They intimidated workers. The National Labor Relations Board issued dozens of complaints against Starbucks for illegal anti-union activity. The progressive image shattered. Customers who supported Starbucks because of their values couldn't reconcile the company's actions with their marketing. Social media amplified the hypocrisy. Videos of workers testifying about retaliation went viral. Former employees shared stories of intimidation. The contrast between Starbucks' public persona and their union-busting reality was stark. Young customers especially, Starbucks' core demographic, are pro-union. They support worker rights. They stopped going to Starbucks out of solidarity with workers. Boycotts happened. #boycott Starbucks trended repeatedly. Some customers permanently switched to local shops or chains that treat workers better. Starbucks lost the moral high ground, and without that, they're just another overpriced corporate chain. The progressive branding was their differentiator. They destroyed it themselves. You can't advertise as socially conscious while firing workers for organizing. The hypocrisy is too blatant. And customers remember, this isn't just PR damage, this is brand identity destruction. Starbucks spent 30 years building trust. They demolished it in 2 years of union busting. Trust takes decades to build and moments to destroy. Starbucks proved that principle perfectly. But even as their reputation crumbled, Starbucks was simultaneously dismantling the very thing that had made them different from every other coffee shop in the first place. 3. The third place died and nothing replaced it. Starbucks promised to be the third place. Not home, not work, but Starbucks. A place to exist. That died. Deliberately, strategically, Starbucks killed it themselves. First, they removed comfortable seating. Those big couches and armchairs? Gone. Replaced with hard chairs and small tables. The message? Don't get comfortable. Then they limited Wi-Fi in some locations or made it unreliable. Studying or working? Go somewhere else. The bathrooms became locked, requiring customer codes. Want to exist in the space? You have to keep buying. Store designs shifted from cozy to industrial. Wood and warm lighting replaced with concrete and cold aesthetics. The spaces became uninviting. Why? Because loiterers don't maximize revenue per square foot. Starbucks wanted throughput, people buying and leaving, not staying. But in killing the third place, they killed the reason people chose Starbucks over competitors. The experience was the product. The coffee was almost secondary. Without the third place, Starbucks is just overpriced coffee from stressed baristas in an uncomfortable room. That's not a compelling value proposition. Local coffee shops filled the void. They offer what Starbucks abandoned: comfortable seating, community, places to exist. They're slower, quieter, more human. Starbucks optimized for profit and lost their soul, and customers noticed. They didn't just leave, they found better places that still had soul. The third place concept was Starbucks' innovation. They invented it, marketed it, built their empire on it, then killed it for slightly better profit margins. That decision will be studied in business schools as one of the greatest strategic blunders in corporate history. And while Starbucks was busy demolishing their own concept, a new movement was quietly educating their customers about what coffee could actually be. Real coffee, the kind that made Starbucks taste like a cruel joke. 2. The specialty coffee movement made them look obsolete. Third-wave coffee shops represent everything Starbucks isn't. Small batch roasting, single origin beans, skilled baristas who treat coffee as craft, attention to detail, passion. These shops popped up everywhere. Blue Bottle, Intelligentsia, Stumptown, plus hundreds of local operations in every city. They educated consumers. They showed people what coffee could be. Light roasts that taste like blueberries, pour-overs that highlight bean origin, espresso that's sweet without sugar. Starbucks coffee suddenly looked primitive, burnt, industrial, low quality, and the prices were similar. A specialty coffee shop charges $4 to $6 for a drink. Starbucks charges $5 to $8. For the same money, you get massively better coffee. The specialty shops also delivered on experience. The baristas are knowledgeable, they care. They'll discuss brewing methods and bean origins. It's coffee as culture, not transaction. Starbucks can't compete here. Their scale prevents quality. They can't source premium beans for 30,000 plus stores. They can't train baristas to craft level when turnover is 70%. They can't slow down when efficiency is their model. The specialty movement didn't destroy Starbucks directly. It just made them irrelevant to people who care about coffee. And once those people left, they told their friends. The word spread. Starbucks is for people who don't care about coffee. That reputation is death. Because if you don't care about coffee, why pay Starbucks prices? McDonald's is cheaper. If you do care about coffee, why drink burnt beans from stressed baristas? Starbucks got squeezed from above by quality and from below by price. They have no sustainable position. The specialty movement revealed Starbucks as the mediocre middle that satisfies nobody. That's not a temporary setback. That's a permanent reckoning. Coffee culture evolved. Starbucks stayed stuck in 1995. Now they're obsolete and everybody knows it. And that impossible position exists because Starbucks forgot the one thing that had made any of their success possible in the first place. 1. They forgot they were selling experience, not coffee. Here's the truth that explains everything. Starbucks' coffee was never that good. It was always mid-tier at best, burnt at worst. People didn't go to Starbucks for the coffee. They went for the experience, the vibe, the feeling of treating yourself, the social status, the third place, the personal connection with baristas, the ritual. Starbucks sold experience. The coffee was just the excuse. Then they systematically destroyed every element of the experience while raising prices on the coffee. They made stores uncomfortable. They eliminated human connection. They turned ordering into an app transaction. They rushed people out. They prioritized efficiency over experience. What's left? Just the coffee. And the coffee was never good enough to stand alone. This is the fundamental strategic error. Starbucks thought they were in the coffee business. They weren't. They were in the experience business. When they optimized for coffee business metrics, efficiency, throughput, cost reduction, they destroyed the experience business that made them successful. You can't charge $8 for coffee, but you can charge $8 for the experience of Starbucks. Once the experience died, the price became indefensible. Every decision Starbucks made in the last decade prioritized short-term profit over long-term experience. App ordering over human connection, speed over quality, efficiency over comfort. These decisions made quarterly earnings look good. They destroyed the company's future. Because once people realized they were paying $8 for mediocre burnt coffee in an uncomfortable room served by stressed strangers, they left. And they're not coming back. You can't rebuild experience. You can't buy back trust. You can't resurrect a brand identity after you've killed it. Starbucks optimized themselves into obsolescence. They forgot what they were actually selling. And by the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. The experience is gone. The customers are gone. The magic is gone. What's left is just an overpriced coffee chain that nobody needs. The bottom line, 12 reasons. One conclusion, Starbucks forgot they were selling experience, not coffee. And once the experience died, the $8 price tag became a joke. $8 coffee that broke people. An app that turned customers into data. Baristas who don't stay. A menu nobody understands. Burnt beans hiding mediocrity. Competitors attacking from every angle. A generation drinking less coffee. Remote work killing the commute habit. Union busting destroying their progressive image. The third place murdered for profit margins. Specialty coffee making them obsolete. And underneath it all, a company that forgot what made them matter. The Green Mermaid is drowning, and nobody's throwing a life preserver because nobody cares enough to save them. America isn't turning away from coffee. America is turning away from Starbucks because Starbucks turned away from America first. If this explained why you stopped going, hit subscribe and drop a comment. When did you quit Starbucks? What finally pushed you out? Check out the video on screen. I'll see you in the next one.